Joining us now is BuzzFeed technology editor John Herrman, also Herb Greenberg. We got John Ford here. Herb, you sent out an email yesterday with your usual 72% typos, but we understood what it said. This is bad for Netflix or something like that. Why do you think that?
Well, because if Netflix has to pay more, as other companies will have to pay more, how can that not impact, if they have to spend hundreds of millions more, whatever it's going to be, how can that not impact their costs and their bottom line? And, you know, if you look at all the companies that would be affected, I would argue that Netflix is about the closest to a purest play. And I want to point something out here. Netflix's stock yesterday was up, even though there was this news. Today, you had the buffering. It looks like some of the reality is actually catching up.
Well, John Herrman, who do you think, apart from Netflix, loses out of all of this, and who do you think wins?
The biggest losers are startups. Netflix may need to pay more money to internet service providers to ensure that they have the best possible service. But the next Netflix won't have the kind of cash it needs to pay those same fees. If you're an investor and you're looking at new startups and they're competing with major incumbents that have these partnerships with internet service providers, you're probably going to disregard them or at least think less of their potential because they would need incredible amounts of money to rival the
cash. Disagree, John Ford?
I don't know. I don't think we exactly know what's going to happen in an open market with net neutrality struck down. Just supposing there were no appeals and it were officially struck down today, would the Comcast, Time Warners, Charters of the world actually block Netflix traffic? Can you imagine the uproar from their most valuable customers if they were blocking Netflix? Suppose Netflix said, we're not going to pay that. Or what if Netflix decides, hey, this is great. We can get our streams more reliably.
Can I ask you a question? Because it's real. I actually do not know, and I'm sure you know, John, which is it not just about blocking? Couldn't they then also charge more, peak pricing, if you will? We know there's certain people that download stuff all the time, and they're sort of blocking the bandwidth. Is there a way to do that as well?
In theory, yes. And a lot of people would argue there's not enough competition in local markets.
That's why Herb is saying it'd be bad for Netflix then. If I'm a heavy Netflix user and suddenly my cable bill is, you know, my internet part of it is $100 and it was $40 because now I'm being charged more for the download.
If your provider has the market power to do that, we're assuming that they're operating in a monopoly environment. In a lot of cases, we know they are.
Comcast is not going to affect Comcast customers right now, right? I think it's not until about 2018.
I kind of doubt that we'll be dealing in a net neutrality-free zone entirely before 2018 anyway. There are a number of arguments still to be had about this. I think any provider that tries to really be prejudicial about internet traffic in a harsh way is going to attract a lot of regulatory attention anyway.
So to that point, John Herrman, it feels like the battle is far from over, but nonetheless, if you're a tech company or a company who has some kind of stake in this space, you want to be planning for a post-net neutrality world, wouldn't you?
I would say so. I mean, I think it's going to be a long road to reclassify internet service providers as common carriers. That's why the FCC didn't do it in the first place, and that's why they found themselves in this mess. I think this is also not really about customers and what they'll directly experience so much as what the companies they pay for content will do. Blocking content is terribly unpopular with customers. Every time any ISP has tried to do that, the backlash has been huge. But if you start making your Netflix stream or your Facebook downloads or any type of content like that not count against your data caps, for example, that's AT&T's proposal.
Right.
Then this refiguring of the entire internet, this non-neutral internet seems like a gift, but it's actually the same thing that they've been trying to avoid for years.
That's part of my point. We wouldn't want to live in a world of physical net neutrality where every package that wanted to arrive at your home has to take the same amount of time and be delivered by the Postal Service because Amazon Prime couldn't exist. We like Amazon Prime. We like the idea that Amazon can choose to pay more to get me my stuff faster. So there's a flip side to this. I don't think we know exactly how this is going to work out practically for the consumer.
Okay.
Well, either way, we've got a note. And Herb Greenberg, thank you very much. John, thank you very much. John, thank you. Is that, of course, obviously, CNBC, our parent company, NBC Universal. Their parent company is Comcast. So, of course, we've got a horse in this race as well. But just like the debate, we're trying to come at it from a net neutrality point of view.
But we're going to be getting back to Herb in just a second. Stick around, Herb. Still ahead. Think of it as Google Android for drones. We're going to be introducing you to one startup that is making a big bet on how unmanned aircraft will operate in the future.
And then